obviously you've been critical of a number of different governments. And so maybe in some way, America like red pilled you and you're like, oh, you can do this and you'll be able to do it on social media, et cetera. But let's start maybe with like the Turkish government. I think that was really the first time that I personally heard any of this. Maybe what are the issues that are going on there that people should be aware of? And then also like, why did you choose to speak out about it, given that, playing in the NBA and kind of having all of these things that for most people would be this amazing life and everything going in your favor? Like, why even bother with it?
Yeah, I'll tell you the whole story. I got drafted in 2011. I mean, my first 2 years in the league, all I cared about was just playing basketball and, having fun with my teammates. That's literally all I cared about. Well, then my third year in the league, it was back in 2013, there was a big corruption scandal happened in Turkey. President Erdogan and his family was involved in it. And, as a basketball player, I was like looking at to see what's happening in my country. This dude was putting innocent people in jail, police, prosecutors, judges, and innocent people. And he was going around and shutting down media outlets, whoever talk about this, corruption scandal. And I was like, I don't care who you are, but if you're going to fight against, free press, and if you're going to start putting journalists in jail, I'm going to say something. So I very simply tweet something out, right? And because of the NBA platform, it became a conversation here in the United States and Turkey. And I was like, even one simple tweet can change this much. From now on, I'm going to start, paying attention about what's going on in my country more. So I was like, my teammates were going out to parties and hanging out and stuff. I was going back home. I started to study about, the relationships between Turkey and America, Middle East, what's happening in my country and stuff. And I was like, the more I studied, the more I started to talk. And the really big, media outlets in America and newspapers and magazines started to give me a platform. And I started to write op-eds and give interviews and started to do some panels and discussions and stuff. And obviously, Turkish government hated that. Every time I say something, it was becoming a conversation. So the things that I talked about affected me and my family. My dad was a genetic professor. He got fired from his job. My sister went to medical school for 6 years. She still cannot find a job. I think the saddest one was my little brother, because he wanted to be like his big brother. He wanted to play in NBA. But he was getting kicked out in every team because of the same last name. He was so young, I couldn't really explain him why he was getting kicked out. So they started to get affected so much, they had to put a statement out there and said, we are disowning Enes publicly. I remember going to a practice that day. Was definitely one of the most toughest day, And Turkish government didn't believe that. They sent police to my house in Turkey and they raided the whole house and they took every electronics away, phones, computers, laptops, iPads, because they wanted to see if I am still in contact with my family or not, which they couldn't find any evidence, but they still took my dad in jail for a while. But we put so much pressure from here to Turkey with media, with politicians, then they let him go. They had to. But, then after that, they revoked my passport. They actually tried to kidnap me in Romania. It's all over the internet. If you guys can check it out.
What happened there?
So I landed in Romania, right? I give my passport because there was a big event. I give my passport to this passport lady. She started to look. She said, hold on a second. She went in the back. She came out with the police and said, I'm sorry, you are not allowed to, get in the country because your passport has been revoked. And so they put my name on Interpol list. So with Turkish government, if you're in Turkey and criticize the government, you'll be in jail the next day. But if you're outside of Turkey, you're criticizing the government, they put your name on Interpol list, right? And then whichever country you're in, they have to deport you back to Turkey because of the Interpol arrest warning. So they detained us in the airport, and there was 2 police was actually watching me, and one of them was a big basketball fan. He came to me and said, you guys have 2 hours. It was me and my manager. You guys have 2 hours to leave this country. If not, you guys are getting deported back to Turkey. And I started to text and call the senators I know, the congressmen I know, the NBA, NBPA, the Player Association, even some of the players. because the more pressure you put on the Romanian government, then it will be easier for us to get out that detained. So I'm glad. Luckily, many of the senators worked and we got out, but it was very crazy.
So like when that happens, you're sitting there and they're like, we're going to deport you back to Turkey. You probably think that there's bad shit that's going to happen if that occurs. What do you do? Like, can you not just go buy a plane ticket and get on the plane? Like, do you have to get the senators to like get a special plane to come get you? Like, what happens?
Not a special plane, but so like just because of they revoked our passport, we are not allowed to fly. I have no passport. So I remember texting Senator Langford. So back then I was playing for Oklahoma City Thunder. So I texted, Senator James Langford. I'm like, hey, Senator, I'm stuck in Romania. They detained me and I need to leave here as soon as possible. So he worked with Homeland Security and stuff. So like they brought me back. I'm glad they brought me back. Because if it was happened to me, if I went back to Turkey, it would be a very ugly situation. I don't even want to think about it, because there are so many reports out there saying that there are thousands of people, innocent people in jail right now getting tortured and raped. And these reports are like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, Human Rights Foundation. So these are some like legit reports, So like it will be a very, very ugly situation.
So when you think about this, you became more and more vocal over time. Does your family still live in Turkey?
Yeah, so last time I saw my family was back in 2015. Unfortunately, there is no communication. I have another brother plays basketball in Poland. So I talk to my brother and my brother talks to my family about like if we ever want to communicate and stuff.
Yeah.
But right now they're scared because the last 4 or 5 years, there's been so many people, media outlets and politicians and stuff behind us. Now, every time like they touch my family, it becomes like international news. So like they're scared.
Yeah. And then when you went from the Turkish government, right, I think that people were like, okay, cool. He's grew up in Turkey. He understands kind of what's going on there. And then at some point, I saw you start talking about the Chinese government. And I think that's when I was like, oh, okay, hold on a second. This isn't just going to be like, I'm going to criticize my own government. This is like, there's a bigger story here. And so walk me through kind of the evolution from just the Turkish government to kind of other, oppressions that are happening around the world.
So the last 10 years, when I was in the league, I only focused on one dictatorship, obviously because of my plate was so full because of my family there. My family was stuck. We've been trying to bring him over here for years now, and it's been 8 years, So and they're having some very tough times over there. But just past summer, I'm doing a basketball camp, right? And after we had an amazing camp with the kids, free basketball camp, and after the camp, kids came and we were taking pictures, and I was signing autographs one by one. And I took a picture with this kid. And his parents called me out in front of everybody. And he said, how can you call yourself a human rights activist when your Muslim brothers and sisters are getting tortured and raped every day in concentration camps in China? I was like, and media was there, parents, kids, other people, my friends. I was so shocked. I was just like, didn't know what to say or what to do. Anyway, and I'm still smiling for the picture. Anyway, I turn around. I'm like, I promise I'm going to get back to you. So that day I canceled everything, right? I went back to my hotel. I started to, study about what Uyghurs are going through. I grew up as a, Dalai Lama fan, so I looked at what Tibetans are going through. So I already knew about Hong Kong because 2 years ago when, general manager of Houston Rockets tweet something, it became a huge mess in NBA. I already knew about Taiwan because I wanted to go there. I know the conflicts between China and Taiwan, and also I started research about Mongolia. So I was like seeing all the human rights abuses one by one, right? I was so ashamed with myself. I'm like, I cannot believe the last 10 years I only focused on one dictatorship. So I promised myself, I was like, whatever it takes, I'm just gonna go out there and just speak up. And that's how I started to talk about other dictatorships. And it wasn't only China, because there are human rights abuses happening all over the world. You look at I don't know, like Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, Iran, Russia, and we can go on and on. So I wanted to like speak out for all these people, not just for the people that in my country.
Got it. And so when you think about this, it feels like if you spend enough time studying, you will find this happening in every single country. And people in the United States, this makes them very uncomfortable to talk about. But even the United States has things that if folks were educated on, they would say, hey, I didn't know that was going on. That feels like it's wrong, right?
Right.
And so when you think about you as one person, you have this platform, right? Having played in the NBA for so long and really caring about this stuff. But is there like a prioritization in your mind of like, can I talk about all of them? Should I just focus on one or two of them? Like, how do you think through, where to focus your time, energy, et cetera, given that you're just one person?
So I was hoping once I started to talk about these issues, others will join me, other players or even coaches, or not just the people or athletes in NBA. Because I did this right before the Winter Olympics. I'm like, God, I was praying every day. I'm like, God, please send me one athlete. It doesn't have to be a basketball player. It doesn't have to be an NBA player. Anyone to join me to talk about these issues, I reached out to so many people, so many athletes, so many celebrities. Unfortunately, there's not one person wanted to stand right next to me. I asked them like, dude, you talk about all the human rights abuses happening here, and good for you. It's amazing, and I'm with you. But what about there? Human is human, Well, they're like, well, listen, we love you. I think what you're doing is so amazing. We support you. We just cannot do it out loud because we have shoe deals, endorsement deals, jersey sales, or family to feed and stuff. I was asking one question, all to Olympians, NBA players, athletes, and different organizations. I was like, if your mother, if your sister or your daughter was in those concentration camps getting tortured and raped every day, would you still remain silent? No one answers. And, when I started to, research and start to study, obviously on the internet, you can find all kind of news, good news, bad news, fake news. Because I called my manager. I was like, I want you to find me a concentration camp survivor. Obviously, he was very shocked. He was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I want to talk to one. So he found me a woman that was in concentration camps a couple of years ago. And she told me about some of the stories that are happening in there. I don't know if the kids are watching this podcast or not. I don't want to go into details, but some of the things that she told me, it was like mind-blowing. She told me about gang rape and torture and forced abortion, sterilization, and how many people dying in there every day. So like, I was like, I don't care how much money or business or more. If you carry a heart, you have to, say something about these people. You have to support these people. And every time a person who has a platform says something, it becomes a conversation, and actually it helps people over there, So, unfortunately, there's not one athlete wanted to, join me, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think is unique about your situation is the platform that you've got as an NBA player also afforded the opportunity to financially make money. And so once you get to a certain point, I'm assuming that you don't strike me as a guy who has 17 private jets and 14 yachts and all
I don't
that
even
stuff.
have a house or a car.
Yeah, you don't have a house or a car?
I don't even have a house or a car.
All right, so I'm assuming the money you made in the NBA, right? There's an ability for you to kind of weather the financial blowback, right? Of you're not playing in the NBA right now, sponsorships, like all these things that you were able to do for a number of years. You got the platform and you were able to kind of financially get there. And so in some way in society, there's actually a group of people who have that ability. They have a platform, and also they've got enough money where once they start to kind of speak out, they anticipate it. They know what is going to be the blowback. And so I think that it's even more so like you have more to lose than the average person, which makes this whole thing kind of pretty incredible.
People always talk about like, dude, was it worth it? You talk about the things are happening in China and you lost your job. But like I always tell them, like, listen, I wanted to talk about the issues that are happening in my country. I lost my family. Just because I talk about the issues that are happening in Turkey, I haven't seen my family since 2015, you know? But people are always asking me that question. But I was like, listen, man, my family is only one. There are thousands of families in jail or around the world right now are suffering, you know? You look at the numbers, there's actually a really good web page. It's like turkeypurge.com. And you go there, you can see all the numbers, you know? Right now, so far, last time I checked, there were 17,000 innocent women, and almost over 800 babies and kids are in the jail right now with their mother waiting for help. And these women, innocent women, are worked in a place like a media outlet or a newspaper or school or whatever that said something against the government, and that's their only crime. That's what they put my dad in jail just because he was my father, you know. So it is bigger than basketball, because it is bigger than making millions of dollars, or it is bigger than NBA, you know. So, I mean, I hope that people can see that.
Hey you, did you like this video? Great, we make 5 of them a day and post them here on this channel. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and see you next time.